Here we go again. Kingdom Hearts 1, but this time with some cards. All jokes aside, it does add some more story points, but I don't really talk about those anymore. So, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Where do I start? I guess I'll go in the order that I played them. So I started out with Recom, since I didn't know this game existed on the Game Boy when I still had a working one. Honestly, I hate Recom. Something about it just doesn't feel right to me. It might be that the ARPG format got slowed down by needing to match or break your opponent's card number in order to become the victor of the fights. It might be that the maps just feel like a jumbled version of the actual world. Or it might be the fact that I have to grind for hours just to get a few cards I'll never use just to get 100%. No, it's okay. I'm fine. I can see why some people like this, but to me it feels lifeless. Like they took a different version of the game and just made it 3D, but we'll talk about that later, since it's what they did. I actually didn't hate the combat most of the time. Basic enemies were pretty easy to take out, even when they basically hit you with a hammer to stop your move. Once you get to the Neo Shadows, the game just takes a nosedive, as every fight you've got to fight the puddle. And yes, I know that regular Shadows can do this tactic too, but they're so uncoordinated with it, while the Neo Shadows are using it to get behind you and to get you into a full Nelson. The boss fights were also pretty atrocious, with them constantly whipping out those zeros like a high school algebra teacher. I'm gonna level with ya. I googled up gimmick decks in order to get through this game, with the mob clearing deck being made out of ice magic, so Luxord really gave me a problem when I forgot to change my deck. But not to worry, I had a second gimmick deck based on fire that Axel immediately smashed my face in for. Marluxio was also difficult, but mainly for other reasons. That boy's zooming. Honestly, I'd give Sora's campaign a solid 4 in Recom. It was fun enough that I actually wanted to finish it, especially after putting together a gimmick deck or two, but guess who doesn't get that ability? Welcome to Recom Reverse Rebirth. This time we're climbing out of the basement instead of starting at the ground floor. We play as Riku, who has preset decks. Honestly, the main saving grace for Riku's auto decks are the consumable cards, which I forgot for my entire playthrough, merely struggling through without the extra abilities in play. You play through the exact same worlds that you just did as Sora to find Sora. Yeah. Luckily, Riku's decks are built decently well, so you always have a card you can break or match with your enemy, in order to constantly run duels, like a punk brat who goes down the street challenging everyone to a fight before learning his lesson sucking wind in an alley. Also, depending on how much damage/actions you do, you fill this little bar in the top left, and when you try to do anything after this bar is full, you activate Riku's Dark Sona. While wearing his $300 darkness suit, Riku has different sleights that make combat that much more engaging. Riku's Gimp suit has wonderful mob clearing capabilities, as most of the sleights there are for AoE damage to destroy a ton of enemies at once. Riku laughs in bosses' faces as he fights like PvP champs in Dark Souls, parrying every attack sent flying his way and then going in for the riposte. Like, seriously, my entire strategy for the final boss was just baiting him into doing regular attacks, then dueling him to the death. Made it way easier. I'd give Riku's Ruta a 6 out of 10. You didn't think the video was over yet, did you? I still have to talk about GBA Com. Honestly, I enjoy playing this one a lot more. It's got sharp sprite work, the levels are again jumbled, but this is the best they could do on the GBA, so I'm letting it slide here. Not really much to say here, except that a couple of bosses have changed to be easier or harder depending on how you look at it. With Hades being harder to dodge and having multi-hit attacks, it made his fight a bit of a slog, but then after his boss fight, everything else felt like a tickle fight. Oh yeah, and also, just this Oogie fight. I didn't take any damage in it, and I already thought Oogie was easy. Though I do have to remove some points for the express reason of no sprite work Halloween Town outfits. 6 out of 10. And here we hit Reverse Rebirth again, this time with 10 times more edge. Get it? Because of the pixels? Riku's preset decks are a godsend here as they rip and tear through enemies like butter. Oh, also some bosses are just way easier here? Like Maleficent. I mean, the clip just speaks for itself. Should I let it keep going? Oh, also, notice in these clips that Riku runs faster than a coked up monkey, and for some reasons, other processes are just faster, like going through doors. I have no idea why they are faster, possibly because of emulation, but they are. 8 out of 10. So, we finally reached the end. In total, Recom gets a 5 out of 10 overall, and the original Com gets a 7 out of 10. I don't know. I think the jankiness of the game felt more at home with the original. Like, they could have fixed up some of it rather than just trying to make a 3D port of the game. But both are good in their own rights.